Good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream. I'm going to do the May 30th Spiritual Principle a Day in a Meditation. I hope you're doing well today. Let's go ahead and get into the meditation. And the title of it, Accepting Another's Path. I have learned to love and to accept the people I sponsor as the people they are, not little mirror images of me or any other model of recovery. Sponsorship book, chapter 3, to the sponsor. Each of us looks for a sponsor who does the deal, trusts a higher power, cleans house, and helps other addicts. We seek out experienced members who have what we want and will accept us without judgment. Most importantly, we look for sponsors who will offer loving guidance through the 12 steps of NA. Such love takes many forms. Some of us rely on our sponsors for an unbiased perspective on our thoughts and behaviors. Others appreciate being offered gentle guidance, tempered with loads of support and empathy. Whether our sponsors apply a firm hand or a soft touch, we learn to confide in them. Their acceptance of us, warts and all, helps us to accept that everything is as it should be. Working steps is a process of self-discovery. With a sponsor to hold the flashlight, our hands are free to dig deep. They help us figure out who we are and who we're not. As one member described it, this process taught me not to fear the truth about myself. It turns out that I'm not as good or as bad as I thought I was. We can learn a lot about recovery by talking to more experienced members. To find what's true for ourselves, however, it's helpful to have someone to question our ideals. As one member put it, instead of telling me what to do, my sponsor helped me figure out my own answers about who I am. We may aspire to be like our sponsors at first, but few sponsors are looking to mold a mini me. Instead, they help us to be ourselves. My sponsor's love and acceptance helped me discover who I am, whom I'm not, and who I want to be. Today, I'll try to practice those same principles and help someone else on their recovery journey. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you, God. Grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. Accepting another's path. As a, I want to say, as a sponsor, sometimes I don't feel like a sponsor, but sometimes I do more than others. And I do have sponsees. So, I mean, I have the potential to feel very sponsorish, right? But as a person who has sponsees, I don't have, I think there's one sponsee that we have a lot of similarities, but that has more to do with how we care about others, right? The energy we pour into carrying the message and being of service to others. Um, so we have that. And then I would say she's probably the only sponsee that, I grew up close to as far as our vicinity of the community, our neighborhoods. And one of her sisters were my absolute, one of my best friends in high school. So And I'm a bit older, but still, I mean, there's that similarity of culture, literally similarity of culture because we came from the same, 5, 6 block radius and we knew each other in that sense. Okay. So there's that similarity. But really on a deep level, I don't have any uh mini me's. I'm not looking for people to be like me. Um, and most sponsors are not. Now, it's quite natural, right? It's quite natural. I've observed it over the years. Um, People, as they develop in recovery, they begin to take on some of the characteristics of their sponsor. There's a man in our area, when he shares, he closes his eyes because when he shares, he doesn't want to be caught up in microfacial reactions to what he's sharing. He closes his eyes. And he always takes his right hand, his dominant hand, and somehow he places it over his chest. And it's almost like a heartbeat. He creates this pattern of a tap on his chest. And I believe in that it's soothing for him and it encourages him to continue to talk about um, wherever he's at. And so I've noticed that some of his um, longer standing sponsees, not so much the newer ones, I wouldn't know them, but some of the older ones that are, 20 plus years clean in recovery, when they share, they do the same thing. And it's amazing to be in a room with just a few of them at the same time, and they take turns sharing. And it's almost without even trying to do what their sponsor does. It's just a pattern. It's something that they've learned to do as a trick or a technique to calm themselves and allow themselves to share in a manner that is truthful and authentic, right? And so there's a tendency sometimes for some of those traits, right, to be picked up along the way, but I don't think it's anything intentional. This process of working the steps is a process of self-discovery. And it's very important for an individual to discover who they are. And the only way that you can discover who you are is by looking at who you've been. Let me repeat that. This is a process of working the steps, is a process of self-discovery. The reason why self-discovery is important, right, is because it allows you to have a firmer grip or hold on your process of where you're trying to go, right? But the only way that you can experience self-discovery, there it is, right, is for you to go back and look at who you've been. And as you go back and look at who you've been, you will be able to have more self-acceptance about who you currently are, right? Because it's impossible for me to look at my past. Uh, and if you heard my share, I don't want to go into it here, but it's impossible for me to look at my past and not have compassion for the person I became as a direct result of all that stuff, right? Because all I was trying to do was camouflage my feelings and survive and be able to function. And in that, I became addicted. So when I look at it now, I don't get angry at myself because I became an addict. I understand exactly how I became an addict. And now that explains why I'm super sensitive about domestic abuse, right? I'm super sensitive about people being physically abused And it's very hard for me to not interject myself as some sort of vigilante, especially if I'm out and I see it. Right? I understand why that is a button that is easily pushed because I have learned there's been some self-discovery, and that came by way of looking at who I've been over the years, right? And as a person does that, they have the absolute right in Narcotics Anonymous to be who they are. You don't have to be me. You don't have to be me. Because anytime I'm trying to be someone else, I have already set myself up for failure and disappointment and potential relapse. Because it is an unrealistic expectation on myself and others, because I'm expecting for them now to be my role model, and there is not one that is perfect, right? This is a very freeing meditation, but it's only freeing if you choose to be free. If you choose to be the elephant whose rope around his neck has been there all of their lives to a tree and it's been disconnected, and you choose to be that grown elephant that stays stuck at that tree going around in a circle for the rest of your life, that's on you. But you don't have to be. You don't have to be. Because all of those attachments, false attachments, um, it feels like security, but it really was just control. All of those things that have been disconnected from you as a direct result of one, not using drugs, two, pursuing recovery. You can have all of that in your benefit and run free, be free, live free. It's a choice. But a lot of times people will choose to stay exactly where they are because there's comfort in knowing that I'm only dealing with this huge tree that I'm going to go around and around and around. I'm going to stay in this one relationship and go around and around and around, arguing, fussing, and fighting about the same thing year after year after year after year, knowing that we're not compatible, but we're going to stay right here because this is where all of my clothes are. This is where my comfort is. My job is located in this area. We have our names on the same things, on these deeds. I'm going to stay right here. Even though I no longer love the person, no, I no longer can stand even to be in their presence. We're not intimate. I just cannot, but I'm going to stay right here because this is what I know. Right? I know I'm talking to somebody, right? I know somebody can relate to this. I'm going to keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results because I don't have enough faith in the established recovery that I've gained that I will be okay. If I can be okay with the problem, how much more so okay will I be without it? Right? Somebody needs to just break free and move out and into the next level, the next open door. I'm not saying just leave relationships irresponsibly. I could be talking about a job. I could be talking about any number of things. But the relationship piece just kind of fits more quickly and more easily when it comes to just being that huge elephant going around this big old trunk of a tree, thinking that you're still connected to a situation. But the expiration date has long expired. The leash has long been taken off. The license has expired beyond the expiration date by evidence of how you're connecting to what it is you say you're supposed to be connected to. And I'm just saying, through the process of the steps and this self-discovery, maybe you chose it for convenience. I had one lady tell me, I married the guy. This is my stream. I married the guy because I wanted a father for my kids. And he was a daddy that stepped up. And we ended up having other children. So now we're a blended family. But he was never the man that I needed him to be for me. I married him for the wrong reasons. I had another lady tell me he had money and he could take me out of my parents' home. And of course, I'm talking about older people, right? Because that a lot of times was what was important. That you grow up and enter into a relationship and you leave your parents' home. That's what the culture taught you. And she said that was the most miserable 30 years of my life. I got used to not even going out the house. He was putting his hands on me so much. I literally thought I would just he would hit me one time too many, my head would hit something going down and I wouldn't wake up. I just assumed that I was gonna die. And then instead of drinking one day, I decided to step out of the house with some big shades because I had a black eye and go into a meeting. And I made it into the meeting. This is what she told me. I met someone that worked for a women's shelter. And that person approached me after the meeting, said, if you want to leave today, I can help you today while they at work get out of the house. And I took them up on it. And I haven't looked back since. Right? Sometimes all we need is a hope shot, even in being clean already, even in our day-to-day recovery lives. Sometimes we still just need a hope shot and someone to come along and say, hey, you're attached to something that's not attached to you. You just going around the trunk of this tree and you need to be free. I want y'all thinking about that. Where in your life today, right? This is mostly talking about a sponsor loving you the way that you are, right? Not trying to change you, not judge you. But where in your life today are you not acknowledging the new improved you? You're staying stuck on something, worried about what other people are thinking, what they might do, and not realizing just how free you actually are to be you. Like I said, if you can do great with the problem, how much more so can you do without the problem? Let's think about that today. And I'm sure you have a sponsor. I'm not trying to promote dissonance, but I am trying to make sure that you understand that your sponsor wants what's best for you. And it's pretty difficult, I would say. I've been through it all. I've had sponsees verbally abuse me. I've had sponsees want to physically try to hurt me. Um, I've had sponsees so dependent upon me that even at the suggestion that the relationship change into more of a friendship, they've been very physically abusive, right? Um, I've been through so much, right? Sponsees that complain about their relationships every day and never change anything, right? I've been through a lot, and I don't think that there's anything that can really if I choose to sponsor a person, I'll sponsor them. If I choose to not sponsor them, I stop sponsoring them or I don't. There's nothing that is going to sway me one way or the other. If I'm committed to a situation, I am. And I would dare to say that your sponsor is the same. Be free today. We've come a long way. My name is MightyStream. I've enjoyed talking to you. I hope that you will have a beautiful day on purpose. You know why? Because you deserve it.